All right, here we go. We're live. We're live on all the YouTubes. Good morning, Danny. How are you? I hope you're doing good, sir. 16 by 9. Okay. Then let's open up Twitch. Oh, I forgot to change the bit rate on Twitch. Dang it. That's all right. We shall live with the unstable warning another day. Good morning, Oblivious. How's my Rust developer? He's doing good. he's doing good. He's not here though. Rust developer who? What? Good morning, Oblivious. Good morning, Crow Demise. Good morning, Bob Knoll. How are you guys doing? Good to see y'all. Morning, Artwork Studios. How are you? You weren't here much yesterday, huh? Good to see you again, man. I hope life is treating you well. I could not figure out I've had this terrible Bluetooth issue the last 2 days, and I cannot figure out what this thing problem is. So weird. I don't know if it's the position of my laptop, or not my laptop, the position of my keyboard and my computer, or what, but it's been driving me nuts. I'm actually going to switch over to... Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm fine, thank you. How about you? I'm doing great, man. Yeah, I've got money in my bank account. I got food in my pantry. I'm not sick, you know? Like, I don't have anything to complain about other than this dang Bluetooth not working. I wonder if it's like something on my desk that's interfering with the signal, you know? Can't get my keyboard to connect. Come on, keyboard. Come on, little keyboard. You can do it. What shall we cook today? You need 50 LEDs and RGB lights. Yeah, that'll solve everything. Throw some RGB on it. What's the answer? More RGB. The keyboard that could. Yeah, exactly. Danny, what we're going to cook today is more... Actually, I changed the name of the project. So the name of the project was Ferris Pad. But then yesterday, Bob turned me on to the fact that somebody had already built an application called Ferris Pad. So I changed the name of the project to Zoeae? Zoeae? Something like that. It's basically the name for a baby crab, which I thought was very fitting given my lack of abilities with Rust. So yeah, so I changed the name of it. That's what we're gonna do today. We're basically building like a notepad, um, basically like a notepad alternative in Rust. Yeah, that's what we're doing. just as a way, basically, it's primarily a thing to build to learn about Rust. Is primarily what it is. But at the end of the day, we should have a working piece of software that I could actually use if I wanted to on a daily basis, and could iterate on. Yeah, so I named the I renamed the project. So we need to we're gonna clone it down, and then we're gonna move our code over. Okay, and then we're gonna do open that up. Get a new terminal going here. Baby crab, nice. Yeah, you like that? I thought that was very fitting. I'm just a wee crustacean. Just a small crustacean. Don't know anything. Must be taught everything. Bob turns you on. Yeah, you guys' heads are in the gutter. It's funny you made that joke because the last time I said that on stream, my wife made the exact same joke. She said, "Wow, that's inappropriate." A terminal for each file? Yes, exactly. That's what you need. You cannot open more than one buffer in NeoVim. It's a strict technical limitation, and they have yet to figure out how to get around it. And I mean, I know that tools like VS Code exist, but like, why overcomplicate things? I'm just kidding. The reason why I opened up another terminal window was so that I could just very easily copy and paste the code that I haven't committed from yesterday into this new project, and not have to worry about doing any type of git jujitsu to get around the fact that I renamed the project. So I'll just grab that. Oops. If I could figure out how to select things. And we'll do paste that in there. New file.rs. Go in here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. Don't think there's anything else we need. Okay. Let's go ahead and close all of this. And then we can just go ahead and purge that directory. Bye-bye, Ferris Pad. It was nice knowing you. Okay, so what we're going to try to do this morning, first thing, before we add any more features, is we're going to try to do some of that refactoring that we talked about yesterday to make our code a little bit more testable. So we'll see how this goes. Oh no! The stream died on Twitch. Okay, maybe I should stop streaming to Twitch, and maybe I should readjust the bitrate there. Let's see, Twitch bitrate. Twitch limit is 8K for everything. Lower the bitrate by 200 to 500 kilobytes. I'd like 50 file terminals. Yeah, that might get a little heavy. Let's see, poor network connection detected. I don't know. I don't know if you guys over on Twitch are experiencing issues, but it looks like maybe we've had some issue. I don't know. Oh, there's cool. Twitch has an inspector. That's cool. Sorry, I got distracted. I know we were talking about Rust, and then I all of a sudden switched over. Dakara Code. Good morning. Sorry I missed your chat. I don't think I was here when you put that in the chat. All right. All right. I think everything's back to normal. Here we go. If you're streaming 30 frames per second full HD, 4500 usually stable and clean. 6000 is upper limit by most streamers. Oh, okay. So I'm at the upper limit then. Maybe that's why I'm having so much issues. Okay, Twitch. You're gonna go bye-bye, and then I'm gonna come right back. Okay, I'm just gonna adjust my bitrate, which I don't think I can do on the fly. Oh, maybe I can. Hold on. Can I? Oh yeah, it looks like I can. Video bitrate. Let's drop that to. Oh, but I can't set it per. I cannot set it per thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna. If I do this to 45 and 45. Okay, I lowered the bit rate. We'll see if that makes a difference. See if that makes the connection more stable. Okay. Sam, don't you use Restream? I think that means you can stream to both by only sending video to one platform. Sam, I use something called Meld Studio. So I did use Restream for a little bit when I first started streaming, like back in February, March of 2025. But then when I stopped multi-streaming, I was just using OBS. And then recently, when I started multi-streaming again, I started multi-streaming using Meld Studio, is what I ended up starting with. All right. So we're going to try to implement abstraction here. So the idea is to make our thing depend on the right trait. That's the idea here. So we're going to do a public function. We're actually going to rename this file. What do we want to rename this file? Let's rename this file to just what's a good name for it? Maybe I'll leave it as that for now, but we need to probably rename it. So do public function. We are going to silence Copilot. And we're going to do save underscore text. And we're going to say W is type writer. Which should be built in. Use IO write. IO writer? No, write. Write is the trait you want. And we're going to take a mutable version. And we're going to take reference. And then we're going to return IO result. That. Then here we call writer.write all text as bytes. And for those wondering where I'm getting this code, I'm literally getting this code from what Copilot generated for me. Oh, there should be an and, not a percent sign. But I'm typing it myself because I just kind of want to get a more feel for Rust syntax. My chest feels all weird. I don't know if I should be concerned. You probably should pay attention to it. You know, I mean, we all have weird feelings in our body, but it's probably good to stay in touch with it in case it does become an issue. Oblivious. I switched back to Hyperland yesterday. No glitches or crashes. I'm thrilled. Awesome, dude. Well, hell yeah. Good morning, Stu. Good to see you. How are you doing, sir? Sam, WebDev Cody uses Restream, I think. Yeah, I think he does, actually, now that you say that. Yeah. I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's not that I'm not a big fan of Restream. I've found Meld Studio. I'm really, really happy with Meld Studio. I think Meld Studio might be one of the best pieces of streaming software. I think it's a little bit less full feature than OBS, but that kind of makes sense since it's a newer product. But for like setup and getting multi-streaming working, it's very, very low effort. I really like it. Oblivious. Technically, once you're affiliated, you can bypass 6K, if I recall correctly. Interesting. Well, I think since lowering that bit rate, it seems like the connection over there is more stable. So, a win is a win. A win is a win. Failed to resolve use of resolved module or unlinked crate IO. If you wanted to use a crate named IO, use cargo IO to add it to your cargo toml. No, I want result, I guess. I'm looking for IO result. Okay, it's not used. Okay, so how do we use this, right? So, we're gonna basically let the caller, where'd my mouse go? I lost my mouse. I can't find it. Bro. Why is everything such a struggle at 4 o'clock in the morning? There it is. What the hell? Okay, so how are we going to use this? So now what we're going to do is we basically want to pass in the thing that's going to do the writing, right? That's the whole point of this. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. So how did Copilot envision us using this? So I guess we would need, back in our main code, hardware shows. For me, I stand by OBS. There's nothing wrong with OBS, but getting OBS to multi-stream is kind of a pain if you don't want to use a service like Restream. It's a really big pain, in my opinion. So the whole point is, can we test these implementations? Yeah, so the whole thing here is basically we're going to replace references to save file to disk with save text. Oh my dude. I got to figure out this Bluetooth issue because this is making developing almost nearly impossible. Things are disconnecting all the time. I'm in the middle of thinking. I'm going to crash out. You could likely quite easily write your own restreamer with FFmpeg, then stream it to via custom URL in the OBS. That sounds very hard. That sounds very difficult. To build that and make it reliable sounds difficult. Hello, crew. How are you? Good to see you, man. Ilmanian. Hello, Ilmanian. How are you doing? We're trying to figure out how to use this abstraction we're making in Rust. So can you have default values in Rust? Let's see, default parameters in Rust. Okay, there's no way to do that. So then how do I... let's see, let me ask Govi. Okay, so going back to our original method, let's say we have this. All right. And we are using it currently in our code like this. Crap. I did the thing where I forgot to do the thing. I did the thing where I forgot to do the thing. I am taking your idea to learn Go. Go for it, man. Go is a lot of fun. It was definitely, learning Go definitely went better than learning Rust has gone. But I think that's because I took much more systemic approach to learning Go. But I had a ton of fun. And now we have that write or save. And now we have this method. Let's see, now we have this method. Oh, I don't think I did that right. What are we going to refactor to bring us to the new state where testing is more supported? Did you first learn the syntax of Rust? Not really. I had a little bit of prior experience learning Rust, but we just kind of jumped head straight in to building a project, and we've sort of been figuring shit out as we went. So you still use this file system, it returns a result. Handle side effects. Update your call sites. Okay. Now testing is easier. I don't think it's necessarily completely easier. Yeah. Let's see. I don't think I like Copilot's thought here. So we have our save data method. So what we need to do is now, I think what we need to do is we need to. So because this what does this take? This takes a buffer, which means what's the difference between write and write all? Writes a buffer into this writer, returning how many bytes are written. This function will attempt to write the entire contents, but the entire write might not succeed, or the write might also generate an error. Calls are not guaranteed to block. So why use write all? Attempts to write an entire buffer into this writer. This method will continuously call write until there's no more data. Another question for Copilot. What is the difference between write and write all on the writer trait in Rust? Steven, teach me how to learn. Oh, dude, you don't want to. I mean, I'm good at learning, but I don't know if I'm good at teaching others how to learn. Partial writes allowed. When you want fine-grained control, full writes guaranteed. Okay, that's the only difference. Partial writes versus full writes. I think I kind of said this yesterday. I think there's kind of two main styles to learning. There's kind of a pull method and there's a push method. And I just came up with this yesterday. I think what I did with Go is much more like a push, where you're sort of getting all the information up front before you really know what you need information for. Whereas the pull method is more of like what I'm doing here with Rust, where I've decided I have some objectives, which is to build this application, and I'm sort of figuring out what it is I need to know in order to solve the particular problem that's right in front of me. Which I think both can be valid. One's probably a little messier and more chaotic than the other, but I think both can work. Yeah, which is better? I honestly don't know. I think both can work. Bob, no parameters. No, you could take an option thing and pass none. No, I think I'll just pass in. I think I'll just pass in the writer. So here, instead of doing what we're doing like this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say let's see, if I call this as save data and write that out, this is gonna complain, obviously. Because it wants a writer. So is that where I pass fs write? No, that can't be right. Right? That can't be right. Yes. Or is this where I pass? Okay. Copilot. Why did I shut Copilot? Don't know why I did that. Is it possible to make the NeoWim bigger for Twitch? No, not without sacrificing the context of the vertical people. Because if I make this bigger, right, then everyone's gonna lose. The vertical folks lose context of what's on screen. So that's why I keep it smaller. But I could definitely increase the size of it. That's not a problem. Let's see. Okay, so what thing satisfies the writer trait in the FS standard module? File, I see. Okay. So this is where we say, so this is where we would say let file equals file create path, and then you pass in file here. Cannot find contents in this scope, not found in this scope. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's not. The trait bound is not satisfied. IO write is not implemented for result file required by introduced by this call. I don't know why everyone's unhappy with me. Required by a bound and save. I don't know what that means. Maybe I should abandon. I'm having the feeling maybe I need to abandon this method of learning. Because I don't know what half these errors mean. And the only way to figure it out is to just Google it. or to AI it. What does this error in Rust mean? Oops. Hello, Butterscotch. Love learning, but most of the time I try to keep it JIT. I like that, Neil Thompson. I like it. Let's see. This error occurs when you're trying to use a type in a place where the compiler expects a different type that implements a specific trait. Missing trait implementation. You're passing a type to a function that requires the type to implement a certain trait. Example, function takes tclone, but you're passing a type that doesn't implement clone. Oh, this is another one of those examples where this is showing me an issue because of what I've done over here, right? So if I remove this, then okay. So that is very confusing. I'm guessing it's very helpful when you're looking at the standard error when it's printed to the terminal, but that's super confusing from an LSP perspective of like, oh, I made a change over here, and the error isn't just at the site where I made the change, but it also shows up over here. That seems confusing for me for some reason. Oh, and this is because let's see, so this isn't really a writer. So file create returns a result. So how do you pass that into something that accepts a... So if file create returns a result of type results file error. So how do you pass that result to something that needs a writer trait? Maybe I need to switch off Haiku. Maybe Haiku's not so good at Rust. LOL. Excellent catch. Excellent catch. This is where AI goes crazy. The question operator can only be used in a function that returns result or option or other type. Cannot use operator in a function that returns. It's still not happy. There we go. Unused result that must be used. This result may be an error variant which should be handled on by default. See, the problem is I'm still taking At some point, I have to take a hit dependency on file, don't I? There's no really way to refactor this out. Okay, screw it. We're going back to what we had. This was a waste of time. I'm trying to do too much. I'm trying to do too much. Screw it. Hello, are you using eGUI? No, Dark Hero, I'm using something called Iced. Also, good morning, Dark Hero. Good to see you. Let's see, Bobnell, unwrapped or expect. This is another weird thing. Just import the trait. We'll implement the trait for file. What type of app are you making? Ilmanian, I'm making a note, basically trying to make a replacement for Notepad. I don't know if it's actually going to be that, but that's what I'm aiming for. Steven, look at chat. Zoeae, stop yelling at me. It's too early for that bullshit. Blips, morning. Morning, Blips. How are you? Good to see you. The inline errors are very tough, but reading from the full compile output has made it a breeze. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes 100% sense. But I need to remember that when I'm working in the editor, I need to remember to tell myself, hey, don't go chasing that error because that error is likely the result of could be the result of something else you changed. Because I have a compulsive need to squish squiggly lines. How long are you coding in Rust? How is your learning curve? I've only been coding in Rust for, what is it, chat? 3 days? Since Monday. Monday, essentially, is when we started this whole shebang. We kind of started it on a whim, and we kind of just jumped in with both feet forward. Both feet first. Alright, let's just add some tests. We'll make these integration tests. So be it. Who cares if we have some temp files laying around? Okay, integration tests. So this is where we're going to define a mod, which is a module called tests. And we're going to declare a trait, right? That's what we call this, a trait. And then we are going to bring in, I guess, all of the stuff from the scope above it. We're going to bring in standard. We're going to bring in standard. That. And then we're going to create some tests. So let's say, let's see, function, test, not fun. Test, save, file. Oh, I didn't answer the other part of your question too. How's the learning curve been? The learning curve is steep, for sure. Learning curve is very steep. But it's going good. Bye, Suhas. See you, man. Is it like my learn for the sake of doing versus learn for the sake of learning? Yeah, I honestly don't know how to describe it. I think it's just the difference between are you trying to get information that's presented to you in a very structured way, like somebody has sat down and thought this is exactly the way you should layer the concepts to get to them. I think YouTube vertical just died for a second. It's kind of like basically saying it's like taking a university course on a topic versus like reading 6 or 7 random books on a topic. That's basically what it's like. Oh, and I think Twitch just died or something. Man, I'm having all kinds of internet struggles this morning. Alright, so we're going to create some test file path. So we'll say test path equals path buff dot from then we'll do let test content equals string hello Rust. Well, we're streaming, so we'll say hello chat. And then we'll say save file to disk. Why do we clone? Why do we call clone? Why do we call clone here? What's that about? See, without clone, after this call, test path and test content are moved. You can't use them anymore. This would fail to compile. Oh, so this is an example of the ownership, right? So if I do saved contents equals fs read to string test path. Whoops. Mismatch type, expected unit type. Alright, so what is this complaining about? Borrow of moved value. Test path value borrowed here after move. Interesting. So this is the borrow checker in effect. So what's actually happening? Test path and test content are moved into the function, meaning the function takes ownership of them. You can't use them after the function call. When you call clone creates a copy of the value and the function receives the copy. You still have the original and you can use it after the function call. Okay. So it's almost like the borrow checker is like kind of like saving you from yourself in that case. But what if you wanted to actually, let's see, is there anything you can do to reclaim ownership without needing to copy or allocate a new version? Butterscotch, seeing you code in that small window gives me PTSD. That's fair. I mean, I know it's not ideal for productivity. I mean, when I'm programming off stream, I don't code in such a small window. But for the purposes of creating content, especially vertical form content, I'll make the sacrifice. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. You can pass by reference instead of value. The problem is that your function signature takes ownership. If you change it to take references instead, now you can use the values without cloning. Even better, use asref. For even more flexibility, you can use the asref trait. This is actually how the standard library's fswrite is implemented. It accepts anything that can be converted to a path. Why stir instead of string? Notice I use ampersand stir for the text parameter, not ampersand string. This is more idiomatic because string can be converted, okay, but you can also pass a string literal directly. Whereas if your function expected ampersand string, you couldn't pass. So how do you decide when you need to take ownership, or let's see, what's a better question? what is the logic? What is the decision framework for deciding when something should take ownership or not? I know I'm probably asking some very low-level questions about Rust and how you use Rust. Let's see, does the function need to consume/destroy the value? If yes, take ownership. Does the function only need to read/inspect the value? If yes, borrow. Print length. Does it modify or consume? Does the function need to modify the value? If yes, borrow with mutability T. Does the function need multiple types? If yes, use trait bound. Real examples from your code. Let's apply this to your file functions. Does save file to disk need to consume path and text? No, we only want to read them, so borrow both. Does load file need to consume path? No, we only want to read it, so borrow it. Does save text need to consume the writer? Yes, we're writing to it, and it might need to be consumed, so take ownership. Okay, so what? Hold on. In this last example, sorry, some of you can't see this. In this last example Copilot gave me, it says we need to take ownership of writer, but it doesn't use an ampersand. It uses the mut keyword. So let's see if Copilot can explain that. So in your last example, you say you need to take ownership of the writer, but you used the mut keyword instead of an ampersand. Why the difference? The idiomatic Rust approach is take the least amount of ownership you need. So take the least amount of ownership you need. So when I wrote this, I took ownership of writer, not a reference, but I made it mutable with mut. Those are two different things. Ownership versus mutability. Ownership takes ownership. Ownership plus mutability takes ownership and can mutate. Oh, I keep screwing that up. So this means we're not taking ownership. So this infers we're borrowing, and we're borrowing and we can't mutate it. We're borrowing, but we can mutate it. Without this ampersand sign, that means we're taking ownership of it. Come on, Steven, wake your ass up. Let's go. Get your head in the game. Okay, now we want to basically assert. So how do we assert? Let's see. In Rust, assert two strings are equal. Also, I don't like this song. Is it Copilot? Is that who I'm talking to? Yeah, I'm talking, or LLM. The LLM I'm using is Copilot. Yeah, it's Copilot, but it's using Haiku 4.5 as the model. I can't even spell Rust correctly. In Rust, assert equals. Okay. Assert equals. So we'll say saved content is equal to test content. All right, why is this? Binary operation cannot be applied to type standard result string. So what's the right? Man, you're always dealing with this result object. Ah. So I guess we just unwrap it, which I guess we don't want to do in production code, but it's okay to do in test code because if that fails, then something's really wrong. All right, now how do we run this? Do we do cargo test? Yeah. Cargo test. CD Zoeae repository. And we do cargo. Oops, make this a little bigger. Cargo test. Man, look at all that stuff compiling. There's a lot going on here. What? Missing a comma here to end this match. Ah. So we want to ignore this. So we'll say let. We'll just struggle. Function test saved is never used. Oh, because I didn't apply the test trait. Hey, looky there. After an hour, I wrote my first test. After an hour of much fussing. Okay, let's add a test for loading. So let's say function load file. So whoops. Load file from disk. Oh no, I don't need any of that. So we want to, we want to essentially do the same thing. And we'll just use the direct, so we'll say fs dot write, whoops, nope, write test path and test content, and we're just gonna say let And then we should be able to say and instead of the saved content being load. I'm not sure how much value these tests actually add, but at least we know how to do it. Consider clone. Yep, we gotta do the clone thing. Everyone's happy. Hey, looky there, we have our tests. Okay, well, I'm not sure that helped much, but at least I understand a little bit about. I understand a little bit about testing in Rust. I understand a little bit more about how you would leverage traits. So that's a plus. And this is where our application currently sits. So we currently have a ability to open a file. And we have the ability to edit that said file. I think what we should probably do next from a feature perspective is we should probably keep track of which file we're editing. Ilmani, have you made the front end? Yes, we have a little bit of the front end. That's actually, before you said that, that's what I'm doing here. So we have a little bit of the front end, which is cool. So we can do that. Let's keep track of. So I guess to keep track of where we are, we're going to want some sort of state. And let's call this, let's call this file path equals string. And then we want to read from it in our view. So we have our file menu at the top. We have our editor. So let's make a new thing that's at the bottom. We'll call this. So Notepad kind of has this. I don't think it shows the file path, but it does have like a status bar at the bottom where it shows you your line and your position, the number of characters in the file, what kind of thing you're editing, the zoom, what type of line endings you're using, and the encoding. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to put the file path in the status bar. So and we probably want a row for this. So let's say status bar, status bar is going to be equal to a row. And that row is going to consist of, let's see, status bar. This row is going to consist of what? Some text, I guess. So we'll say let text or file path. Yeah, how do I display that? Iced Rust. How do I just display text? No, we don't want the book. We do not want the book. We want the docs. Latest. There we go. Latest release. Widgets and elements. So text. That's what we want. Text. So we'll say let status or file path text equal text from state dot file path, like that. We'll set the size to, I actually don't know what the size of this is, so I'm just gonna pick some random value. Let's say 12, and then we can put the file path text in here. And then we need to, cannot find function, there we go. Cannot move out of state.file path, which is behind a shared reference. Move occurs because state.file path has type string, which does not implement the copy trait. So do I actually want this to be stir? Missing lifetime specifier. So what do I want this to be? I guess I could do clone. I'm not sure if that's what I want. And then we need to actually set that. So if we open a file, so when we first start the application, we don't have a file, right? But if we do successfully save a file to disk, yeah. So I think here we would do we have to do that. Well, we don't have access to the state, so we have to do this in our update logic, right? So basically, save file as okay. So basically, we need to pass the path back up from these calls so that we can set it on the state object, is what I think we need to do. Again, I'm brand new to Rust. I'm making all this shit up as I go, so don't take anything I say as gospel. So we're gonna say let content equals open file. This can still take that. But what we also want to do is when we open the file, we also want to hand back whatever the path was. So I guess we want like a path buff. Is that a thing? Cannot find type path in the scope. Can I return a tuple like that? Is that valid code? Can convert tuple type return type to tuple struct? No, that's not that one. Let content equals return, I guess, path and return content. And then this is gonna complain, I guess. So we do path buff from or none. I don't see very many explicit returns thrown around. I wonder if that's not really a thing you're supposed to do in Go. Use of moved value path. I don't think I'm supposed to be throwing cloned around everywhere, but I am. I'm just like, here, clone. Yo, Monty, how long do you think it's gonna take you to finish this? I have no idea, man. I'll work on it. I'll work on it on stream until I get tired of working on it on stream, and then I'll move on to something else. But I'll at least get it to where it's... I at least want it to have a preview functionality, right? That's the one thing I want it to have. But I'll do it till I get tired of moving on. I might take a break from the application part of this at some point and do people keep recommending this exercise called rustlings. So at some point I might stop and do this on stream. Apparently this is kind of like an interactive exercise for learning Rust, which looks pretty cool. So I might also try this at some point on stream. But I mean, the main exercise here is getting familiar with Rust and learning Rust, right? So the only way you get familiar with a programming language is you got to spend a lot of time working with it and writing with it, you know? Okay, so the whole reason we did that was so that we could have path and content like this. Now, what we're going to do with path is that's where we're going to say state.path, file path equals path. Does this have like a toString? Or two? Or maybe I should change the type? I guess if everything is talking about everything in terms of path buff, I probably should too. The trait found is not satisfied. The following other types implement trait. So how do I turn a path buff into a string? How to turn path buff into string. Into OS string into string. Okay. So into okay, and then into string. That's still not working. Okay, let's go back then to string and let's see if we can do the conversion here. Into OS string dot into string. Why? ¿Por qué? Oh, because this returns a result. That's fine. Unwrap. No method named unwrap found for struct OS string. Unwrap. The simplest of things are so difficult. But it's not difficult because of Rust, it's difficult because of me. Alright, so we don't have anything down here at the moment. Let's see if we open a file. That probably wasn't the best file to use. Okay, so this scrolls, which is cool, but I don't see a status bar. Yeah, I don't see a status bar. So what have we done wrong? We update the state. In our view logic, we are attaching status bar to the bottom. I wonder if it's just getting pushed out the window, maybe? Also, sorry, Twitch, for blowing out your eyes with Stack Overflow. So let's do something simpler. So desktop. Let's see about this one. Oh, there it is. Woohoo! Awesome. So it looks uglier than Sin, but it's there. So I guess the question I have is right now I've got this column, and what I'd like to do is I'd basically like to have a layout that looks more like this, where we have kind of our fixed action menu at the top, and then we have our editor space here, right? And then we have our fixed, what do you call it? Status bar, right? And so we can put things in the status bar. We can put things in the action bar, and the editor always takes up as much space as the window allows and scrolls basically when we get to the bottom of it. So let's see if we can't figure out how do we do that. So iced rs. There's got to be some sort of like layout, you know. Did you change the name? I remember it used to be different. I did change the name. I changed the name because yesterday, who was it? Bob. Yesterday when Bob was here, he was saying that somebody had already built a thing called Ferris Pad, and so I thought, well, I don't want to make another project called the same thing. So I figured, okay, let me change it. And then when I was changing the name, I thought, what would be a good name for somebody who built something that was brand new to Rust? And so I picked Baby Crab. Or I think you pronounce it Zoeae or Zoeae, something like that. Zoeae. It's basically the name for a larva crab, is what it is. I didn't know it until yesterday afternoon when I Googled names for crabs. Let's see, sizing. Okay, most widgets use a shrink sizing strategy by default, but will inherit a fill strategy from their children.
Did we just become best friends?
Calcium Fire, thank you for the follow. You are the first and only follow of the day, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. Oh, we also have theming. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna get distracted for a second. Let's try to implement a theme. So we can implement a theme function. Theme. Copy. Tokyo Night. And then we have to pass that to our main, right? Oh, this is interesting. You see this right here? There's a new, whoops, let me change back to my, there's a new iced application and then new update view theme run. Interesting. So iced application dot theme dot run. What is this? Cannot find value boot in this scope. So what does boot need to be? Function boot takes a state and returns a message. Boot takes state and returns what? A message. Or does that mean it accepts a message? Oh, this returns state is what this returns. And I can just do like that. Mismatch type. Expected standard result. Iced air. All right, let's see if we got a new theme now. Is YouTube chat showing up? Not seeing it on screen. Oh, it's not. Let me see. Why is it not showing up on screen? It's not even showing. It doesn't look like it's even showing up in chat anymore. Why would that be the case? And how do I fix it? I've had a lot of technical difficulties this morning, huh? How do I fix that? Let's see. Maybe I'll just close SpeakerBot. Or StreamerBot. Sorry, I always say that. Okay, let's try StreamerBot again. It'd be nice for them to tell me when I disconnect like that from stream. People are over there just spamming messages, and I'm over here just like, yeah, life's good. There we go. All right, someone, let me try a YouTube message really quick. Hello. Oh, there it is. There's Ryan. Ryan was our first. Ryan tested our YouTube message for us. Thank you, Ryan. Hello, Ryan. Good to see you again, man. We're just over here on the Rust struggle bus. Tired of. What the fuck? What's wrong, tired of? Good morning. How are you? Let's see, theme. If this is intentional, prefix it with an underscore. Yes, it is intentional. Ooh, we have a Tokyo night theme. Looky there. Oladapo Deb. Hello, Oladapo.
YouTube chat is borked. Broked. Broken. Not working. Kaput wait. How much text can I put here? Fa la 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 hee hee hee.
I'm not fucking kidding. I might just keep streaming just for text-to-speech. Let's see. Good to see you. Hopping in the car to head to work. Have to refactor all my Lisp code and add documentation today. The code base is getting out of hand. Well, that sounds like fun. Thank you, Bob, for the super chat, man. That's too kind of you. Okay, cool. So we got theming. Okay, that's cool. That was really simple to add, too. Do they have any other themes? I'm supposed to prefix this, aren't I? Let's see what other themes. They have... Looks like they just have Tokyo Night. Oh no, oh, never mind. They have a lot more. So they have they have Dark, Dracula, Oxocarbon, Solarized Light. Oh, look, there's Capuchin. We all know how people feel about Capuchin. So I wonder how I implement my own custom one. I'm gonna do Dark. Alright, what were we trying to do? I can't remember. Oh, we were trying to get the layout to work correctly. That's what we were trying to do. So we were trying to say editor should have a fill. Right? music got a little too loud for me. Let's see, layout. Let's see, layout, container. Rows, columns, and containers. Okay, so let's do so we are going to do, this is going to be our file action, or file, no, menu. We'll call it action bar. How about that? Let action bar equals container dot size. Yeah. Or maybe we want row. What does row return? So it's the container that has the fill. But container has to take stuff in. So container is going to have a row. Right? And that row is going to have our file menu. And that's going to go here. File menu. Containers position or align a single widget inside their bounds. So how do I do multiple containers? Okay, and this is where I would call what? What do I call in here? I find this to be the most frustrating part of learning a new thing, is just not knowing what to use to do what. Okay, so container, let's set container height to 200. That does. Bob, no, I'll say one thing about Prime's agentic coding streams. It got me to use open code again, and that thing is sick. Way better than last time I used it.
Did we just become best friends?
Timbered Quisar, I think is how you say your name. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that so much. Second one of the day. Let's see. Open code does look very cool. Yeah, looks very cool. The TUI is awesome. I mean, it shows you what you can do with a TUI is what it shows you, right? Like how far you can really push that user interface. You last, good morning. Good to see you. Let's see. I watched your vid on the Prime streams. I agree that agentic coding can be draining, but there are times when it's helped me recover when I was already drained. That's a good point. I think I mean, and that's the thing. It's hard to make a blanket statement, right? It's all so individual and contextual, right? Because I know, like, I've mentioned this to you guys before. Like one of my favorite YouTubers is WebDev Cody, and his channel's kind of all gone all in on agentic coding, and he's loving it. I think he's having a ton of fun with it, and I think that's great, right? So I think it's very individualistic. I think my position on it is just it leaves me feeling not excited to do more. And so I don't reach for it as much. It doesn't mean I don't use AI, because you guys watch me. I use AI all the time on stream. It's just, it doesn't feel as, I don't know, what's the word? As exciting? As rewarding? I don't know. I don't know what the right word is. But that's an individual feeling, not a hard, fast rule for everybody, you know? I think the tougher thing is just from a professional standpoint is if agentic coding really does become the way software engineering is done. I think as an individual, you just are going to have to come to terms with that. Like, do you want your whole job to be prompting an LLM all day, or would you rather go do something else? And I think right now I'm leaning towards doing something else. Yeah, gratifying. Yeah, maybe that's the word. Satisfying, gratifying, fulfilling. Yeah, there's just something that's missing. I think also in that video, or in the video series the Bob's talking about, those streams, the Prime Agent also says something to the effect of like, agentic development makes you do all the not fun parts of code with all of the not, or it removes all of the fun parts of programming and replaces it with all the not fun parts, I guess, or in his perspective. And I think I would kind of agree with that, because basically when you're agentic coding, the results you get are basically determined by the inputs you give to the model, which means you basically spend all your time thinking about how to communicate the idea. You're basically a spec writer, is what you are. You're basically writing specs and drafting specs. So you're basically turning into more of like a technical PM in a lot of ways, which maybe that sounds like a fun job, but I don't think that's the job I want. You're left architecturing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, for sure. You're left designing, you're left talking about the architecture and the design and the user experience, right? And so if that's what you want to do, if that lights you on fire and really excites you to just sit and think about those things and then coax an LLM to get the LLM to execute on your vision, yeah, I don't know. At the moment, I mean, it could change in a year's time. I might think something completely different, but at this point in time, I'm kind of still not I still use it. Like I used, who did I use yesterday? I used Copilot to write a little script to help me fetch my list of Twitch subscribers that you see on the screen right now. So I wanted to be able to display my Twitch subscribers next to my members, and I used, Copilot to. I mean, I had to rework some of it. Like it didn't quite understand how to do some .NET things in .NET 10, but I think that's because .NET 10 just came out. But it was really helpful for that. Like it probably saved me at least an hour, 30 minutes of time, like looking through Twitch documentation and trying to figure out what's the right endpoint and what are the things that need to be supplied. The only things I really had to tell it to do was I had to teach it how to read settings from. I had to teach it how to read app settings in the context of a file-based app, and I had to teach it, or I had to tell it how to page through the full list of subscribers. But other than that, I mean, it was, it was good. So like I'm middle of the road, right? I'm like, I think what did Oblivia say? Oblivia said my take is it's a tool, use it responsibly. That's kind of where I'm at with it, where it's like it's a tool and I want to use it when I want to use it, and I don't want to have to use it when I don't want to use it. That's kind of where I am with it. Agentic coding will lead to unrealistic expectations from the computer illiterate management and stakeholders. You have AI now 1 million codes every day. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know if it'll lead to unrealistic. It may lead to unrealistic expectations. I think I think my problem is I've never thought that like these claims of how many lines of code people are generating a day. I guess I just wonder like what is it they're building? What are they doing where they're generating like hundreds of thousands of lines of code in single weeks? What how do you have a need for that much custom software? I'm having a hard time picturing what is all this activity. Is it mistaking activity for achievement? I guess is what I'm thinking. Bob, I noticed that when I first started with it, I was doing manual linting and stuff to avoid wasting token. Then I was like, what have I become? Something I tried for the first time yesterday with an agent that was kind of fun. Ping pong pair programming TDD. I got the AI to write the test and I implemented the code. That's cool. I like that. Yeah. I think that'd be very cool. Yeah, I think anything you can do to make agentic coding more like where you're more an engaged participant in the coding, I think would make it more fun versus like where you kind of like prompt and then you sit back and you just kind of wait and then you read and then you sit, you know what I mean? Anything that allows you to sort of engage and lean forward and really get into the problem solving aspect of it, I think would make it more enjoyable. The most work I've done that I can recall in the past week is 6,000 line change commit that I did over a weekend. It was a mixture of manual and LLM written code. Yeah, I think that's realistic. I think there's just so much bullshit right now. I deleted X off my phone because I I was just so tired. I was kind of just tired of the ever and LinkedIn has kind of become that way too, where it's like every other post is somebody saying software engineering cooked, Opus 4.5 changes everything. It feels like people want it feels like people are like trying to force something to be a moment when it doesn't need to be a moment. I recently heard a lead engineer at a startup who mandated they would not pay for any SaaS. They would use AI to build everything they needed, headed for disaster, in my opinion. It just, yeah, I mean, you're taking on so much burden, right? I mean, just think of that. Like having to upkeep all those SaaS applications in addition to trying to build and produce something that you actually sell and want to make really good. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think that way lies madness. You know, we don't all need to build our own we don't all need to build our own OBSs. We don't all need to build our, you know what I mean? Like there's just no reason to do that. The biggest issue for me is just there's so many grifters, like all the crypto bros grifting for everything now. So who knows? There's lots of bullshit involved. I think there is. I think it's very hard at the moment to shift the bullshit from the non-bullshit. Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, whoops! I just realized I'm only reading YouTube chat. Sorry, Twitch. I keep doing that. That's my bad. I need some big alert that's like, hey, you're in YouTube chat only. All right, back to this guy. So we have our action bar. We're going to set that height to 200. I don't know what these values are. 200 what, right? Is this pixels? I have no idea. Okay, so we have action bar. And that's going to go here. That sets the menu height. And then let's say we want the status bar, which is also a row, but we're going to wrap this in a container. And we're going to set its height to 200. And then we are going to, what are we going to do? We're going to have a container for our editor because we can't do a fill here, can we? Yeah, we can't do a fill there. So we'll say let editor container equals container. And this is also going to be a row that just has the editor in it. But this is going to fill. How do we do fill? Most widgets use a shrink strategy by default, but will inherit a fill strategy from their children. Fill will make the widget take all the available space in a given axis. So how do you actually use fill? Let's say we have two elements, one with fill portion 2. Okay. So if I do editor container, and I do fill all these TUIs, I've been working with another TUI in C#, and it's interesting because I see some similarities. How dare you only read YouTube chat? I know. I forget. That's the problem. This whole multi-streaming thing has been a big lift. Also, good morning, honey. Good to see you. Been on a little bit of a struggle bus this morning. Well, that doesn't look right. So file, open, notes or homework. Okay. So I think that's because, yeah, so this is our 200 pixels. So we don't want 200 pixels. We just want, what happens if I do this? What if I don't set an explicit height on these two? I think what will happen if I do that is then everything's going to kind of get squished to the way it was. Yeah. So this is back to kind of how it was. Okay. Yeah, so this is more what I'm looking for, but you can see we're like getting a weird overlap here. Right? You can also see we're right up against the edges, which looks kind of weird. So Notepad has a little bit of padding. This is kind of painful to iterate on the styling though. You have to make changes and then run it, and then make changes and then run it. Padding. It'd be nice if there was some sort of hot reload. Okay, that's better, but Maybe? There's something about the, how do we get the text editor to just default all the way down, right? I want the editor to be all the way down here. Also, why is this cut off? So how do I get that to happen? Text editor dot. I don't know how to get NeoVim to stop covering up. So maybe height and do length fill. Yeah, this inner dev loop is quite painful. There we go. Okay. Look at us. We're figuring out how to do this stuff. Now we need to figure out why we're having issues with... Nope, that looks good now. So I think we could stand to add some padding around, maybe some top and bottom padding between these guys. So let's do editor dot padding styling, fill, fixed proportions. That's not, I don't care about that. Sizing, styling. Layout. What's spacing 10? Spacing. Let's see what that's about. Is that like in between the rows? Maybe? Maybe that's what we're looking for. Not spacing. Sets the vertical. Yeah, that's what I want. So let's do 10. We're kind of figuring this out a little bit. I mean, I know I've said we've been on the struggle bus a little bit, but we're kind of figuring out at least the UI piece. Hey, looky there. That looks nice. Oh, whoops. I think I just tried to open a file I shouldn't have tried to open. Notes. No, homework. That's lovely. Super lovely. Do we want a little bit of padding in the editor itself? Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if that's maybe what we want is instead of having the spacing I definitely want to disable the border. Is it border box? No, that's not what I want. I can't read the documentation in NeoVim because that overlay keeps covering it up. text editor. So we have content, we have cursor, key press, line, style. Bindings, edit, line endings. Background. Background of the text, put the border. Border. I want to set the border. So style and style. How do we use that? Whoops, that's wrong. Can I write to this? Let's see, editor.style. This function takes a theme status. I'm not really sure what it takes, to be honest. Border, color. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it. I basically just want, what I'm trying to do for context is I'm trying to disable the outline on the text input because I don't like the way it looks. Like I just want it to be a blank a blank area. The only way I know how to figure that, because I can't parse this documentation, so the only way I know how to deal with this is to use an LLM. It's the only thing I know what to do. So we go to see, iced.rs, GitHub. Open up Copilot. Yo, I'm using the text editor widget in this library. I want to style its border. I can't grok the documentation to figure it out. Can you? Well, thank you, Claude Haiku. You're so helpful. The key is to use the style method on your text editor. Return a style struct that includes a border configuration. Border is a field, or border field is of type border, which allows you to customize radius, width, and color. So we do theme. Oh, this is interesting syntax. Using the default with modifications. You also start with the default style and modify just the border. Okay, let's see if Copilot knows what the fuck it's talking about. It probably does. Excuse me. Okay, so it definitely hallucinated that, huh? Let's see. So let's copy this guy. We need to figure out what that syntax is about, though, because I don't understand it. What's it complaining about? Use of mood value, unused variable. Unreachable expression. I have no idea what I'm doing. I hope it's very clear. So this is a background what? This is a background. And backgrounds have what? I think this goes to show how painful it is to use a library that, one, is in a language you don't understand very well, and two, doesn't have particularly good documentation. So this takes a color and a gradient, and a color is represented by let's see, color dot black. Okay. So we would do background new There we go. No? Still not happy? This takes 2 arguments. Base color, text color. Okay, so base color would be, I guess, color dot black. Okay, why doesn't that work? Color. Why does that music feel like it got so loud all of a sudden? Mismatch type. Expected ice background. Found iced theme palette background? NeoVim's really pissing me off with the fucking overlay not. Okay, now everyone's unhappy. Editor moved due to this method call. Does that mean if I chain it? Wonderful. All right. Well, I can't figure that shit out. So I'm abandoning it. I'm getting frustrated. This is what happens when you use LLMs to code for you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure though. The thing is, like, I'm not sure how else. I mean, maybe I need to abandon using this library because I'm not sure how to really figure out how to do things with it. I mean, I have something that's working, but like it's a struggle to figure out how to do anything with it. Let's see. I guess we're just gonna live with our editor having this style. So be it. You're just trying to create your own theme. No, what I was trying to do was it's kind of the stupidest silly thing. I was just trying to remove this dumb purple basically the border and the outline and all that. I was just trying to remove all those stylings. I have a buddy who creates TUIs with Rust. I'll catch him later today and catch you tomorrow with the info. That'd be wonderful, Ryan. Anything you can pass along to make this easier, that'd be awesome. Okay, I want to change. I want to change the size of this back to whatever the default is. Oh, I thought I saw that in the dock somewhere. I'm feeding the animals. I'll check in a minute. No worries, dude. Yeah, no worries at all. I'm having a horrible time navigating those docks, but I think that's because I don't understand Rust. So maybe the lesson I'm taking away from this is I just need to I need to scope my learning down to something smaller until I figure out Rust, because I'm having a horrible time trying to Google foo my way to a solution with a library that's not super well documented. But that's not the library's fault, because in the documentation they're super upfront about they're like, you're gonna have to use the source code to figure shit out. So it's not their fault, it's my fault. Yeah, Rustling's time. Yeah, it might be Rustling's time. I'd love to partake. Yeah, of course, yeah. Anyone's welcome to. Yeah, I think it's going to be Rustling's time. I mean, it doesn't look half bad. The thing is, like, it doesn't look half. What a rainy Thursday. Is it rainy there? I think it's rainy here too. I forgot you're in Wichita, aren't you? Or you're close to Wichita. I'm pretty sure it's rainy here too. I think my wife told me yesterday it was supposed to rain all morning. It would have been really bad if it had been cold. If it had been cold the last couple days and it was going to rain this much, that'd be really bad. All right, let's leave. Okay, so let's set aside the styling. We can figure that out. What's the other things we'd like to show in our status bar? So I think the other thing that Notepad++ does that's pretty cool is it shows your position. So I think that's pretty cool. It shows what line you are and what position you are, basically treating this like a grid. And I think my music died. I think I can implement something like that myself. So let's try to do that. So a file path, let's see the text. I'll bet if we go in here to the update function, I'll bet there is some sort of state. Or actually, hold on. Does our view has access to the state, doesn't it? Yeah. So I will bet that our state, if we look at the text editor, state dot text dot content. Yeah, content. Cursor. There we go. So what does cursor return? Cursor returns something. Returns a position. and it has the line and column. There we go. So what we could do is down in our status bar, we could do file path text, but instead in front of the file path text, we could say let cursor position equals text state dot content dot cursor, right? Now you're going to give me the position and I would like the line and I would like the column. So let's say let cursor position equals that dot position, and then we'll do let cursor text. Hey, what's up, Unique UX? Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, it is. Happy Thursday. Rust looks interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. It's been a little frustrating for me because I think I'm trying to kind of learn too many things at once. I'm trying to learn how to work with this library, how Rust syntax works, all these types of things. And I was getting kind of frustrated this morning by my lack of ability to like make progress. But it's not even the lack of ability to make progress. It's like lack of ability to do the simplest things. So what are you going to do? See you, Ryan. Have a good day, man. Good luck with all your refactoring and your documentation. Leverage some AI for the documentation. That's what I'd do. All right, so how do we turn our position into text? So we're going to have a text thing here. And we're going to say, how do we do interpolated strings in Rust? Standard format. Let's see, format is intended to be similar to those coming from C's printf functions or Python's stir format. So should I use the format macro or should I use something else? Is that the right thing to use? What should I use for formatted strings in Rust? Okay, I'm back. What are you doing? Right now, we're just trying to add a little bit of some pieces to our UI. To convert a single value to a string, use the toString method. This will use the display formatting trait. Dude, my mouse is so laggy. So if I do cursor .toString, does that have a toString? Line, does line have a toString? I got two strings, one for the guitar and one for my shoe. Just formatting a string, format exclamation. So you use the macro, huh? So how do you do multiple? So I guess you just do like this, like this, and then you pass in cursor dot line, cursor position dot column. Type annotations needed for ICE core text. Cannot satisfy ICE widget catalog. The trait catalog is implemented for theme. Let cursor display text. Okay, so what is this? This is a string. So was it just having an issue inferring? I don't understand why you're pissed. Why are type annotations needed? They're not needed down here, but they are needed. This is the most frustrating experience I've had learning a... Sounds like my wife. This is the most frustrating experience I've had learning a programming language, by far. Consider giving cursor text an explicit type, where the type for parameter theme is specified. Why does this give a shit what the theme is when it doesn't down here give a shit? That's I can't figure that out. Is it because the state is being passed in here? Is he getting borrow checked? I'm about ready to crash out and just quit this whole Rust thing is what I'm about ready to do. You're not using the cursor text yet, so it doesn't know what type to expect. So are you saying that I need to go down here and do this? That's it. Oh my goodness. Uncle P, what do you code at work? I usually use TypeScript and C#. Most everything I do is TypeScript and C#. I learned Go in November for Advent of Code, and then I know Python, but I avoid it like the plague. Oh my goodness, dude. That's painful, man. I don't know what to tell you guys. We may need to do some wrestlings. Because I would have never thought that that's what I needed to do to figure out, to correct that error, was to use it. I think I need to go. I think stream, or I think chat, you guys are going to be stuck with me reading the Rust programming language book, I think is what we're coming to a conclusion on. Hey, it works. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of towards the bottom of the screen. Make it a little bigger. Looky there. It works. So now we can make it look a little bit more like Notepad. We can add, we can do line number, see line and column. And it looks like there's like a little divider character right there. So we'll do line, column. Anybody, so any of you guys who have built Rust stuff, do any of you know if is there a better way to do this inner dev loop where you can iterate on styling and functionality without having to constantly stop, run the application? Okay. I've never wrote any Rust, sorry. No worries, UniqueX. No worries at all. Cargo dev, my beloved. Okay, let's try that. Cargo dev. Find a package to install. Okay, so that must be, I'm missing a package. Cargo dev. Add dev table to your cargo toml with alias to shell. Cargo dev is currently in alpha. Branch master is not guaranteed to be stable. I'm willing to give it a try. I like watch exe because it's completely language agnostic. Okay, watch exe. Let's see. Watch exe executes commands in response to file modifications. Oh, that's cool. From source with cargo. That's very cool. Let's see. Select downstreams of watch exe and associated crates. Cargo watch. Ooh, I like that. That's kind of that makes me feel like I'm back home in .NET. Oh no, it was archived. No, it was just archived this year too, or last year. I mean, at the beginning of last year. I recommend Bacon or watch exe. Okay, so we're right back here. Let's see how to install it. With your package manager. So they have a winget. They do not have winget. They have scoop. I don't think I have scoop or chocolatey installed on this machine. Scoop. No. What's the other one? Choco. I don't have either of them. Alright, we're going to do cargo dev then. That seems easier for me to install. Then I have to update something in my toml, right? Add a dev table to your cargo toml with aliases to shell commands. So what does that mean? Does that mean just cargo dev? See, missing field dev. Okay, so I'll go to dev. And let's see, we'll do dev And then we have to do aliases. So I guess the alias I'm looking for is, I don't know, dev run, I guess? Run, and this is an alias for cargo run. Is that what you would normally do? I don't think that worked. Cargo dev. A hot reload. Cargo dev just looks like aliases. Sorry, I might have misled. I set up cargo dev to run with developer tools. So yes, cargo watch and the. Oh, okay. No worries. No worries. No worries. You're good. Okay, so we're gonna go to watch exe then. We're back to having to install a new package manager. So cargo this uninstall. Oh, I guess we can install watch exe with cargo, can't we? Didn't I see that was part of their from binary? Okay. From source. Excuse me. Once you get it, you'll probably be hooked. You mean once I get Rust? I don't know, man. Right now it's feeling like a lot of friction. Right now it's feeling like I'm a beginner. That's what it's feeling like. See you, Duck Boy. Have a good day, man. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry I didn't see you stop by earlier. I bet you dropped a message and I missed it. Bob, this is the most painful way to learn, but it's the most effective. I usually limit myself to learn 2 things at a time, but you're doing a handful. Yeah, I'm doing it. It is the most painful. Yeah, it is by far the most painful. You were expecting that though, right? Yes, yes, you're right, in a unique UX. So I just need to breathe, breathe through it. You know, it does build a lot of empathy for me though when I do stuff like this, because then when I'm teaching my kids or I'm talking to somebody who's new to something, I have a lot of empathy for the fact that there's just so many layers upon layers upon layers of knowledge, right? Man, my frames per second really dropped there for a second. I think Rust is using all my. Imagine saying, yeah, I built X in Rust. Yeah, exactly. That's right. We got to imagine the end state. I think this compiling is hogging all my machine's resources right now. Because my frames per second just like tanked. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't have compiled this from source. That's so funny. I'm gonna crash my stream trying to compile a cargo crate. There we go. Woo! How fun was that? It about choked the stream is what it about did. Okay. So how do we use it? Let's see. So we say watch exe call restart python server.py when any Python file in the current directory changes. Watch exe for Rust. You need the -R so it stops the app and. Oh, nice. Thank you for that command. I don't think it's recommended to copy commands off the from strangers on the internet and run them in your terminal, but I trust Bob. Wonderful. Okay, so the first thing we should do to try to see if this works is let's get rid of hold of the placeholder. That's nice. Woo, that's a much better dev experience. I mean, that still sucks that it, like, you have to sit there and wait for it, but that's much better. Much better. Okay, so then let's go to our row. Let's do spacing is equal to 10. Big W, Bob. That's right, W, Bob. You the man, Bob. You the man. All right, let's open a file. Cool. So I think this is good. I think now that we have the file path too, we can also implement a new action, can't we? So we can do, so we have save as, we have open, but now we could also do a save function. So we could say file action save. And then we could come down here and say file action save, write f save. And then we could do function save file. Now save file is gonna need to know, save file basically needs to know if we already have a path, right? Because if we don't have a path, like let's say we just opened up the application brand new, we click save. If there's not a path, we basically want to prompt the user to select a place to save it, which means we need to basically do the same thing that's happening here. So what do we need to pass in here? So what we need to pass in here is we need a path buff and we need a string. And then we need to conditionally say if path buff hold on, how do you, so in Rust, if I want to have something that can possibly, so basically let's say I want to check if path buff is null or not, right? In Rust, how would I do that? Is that where I would use option? Is that the right thing to use? Option, okay. So then I'd want to say, instead of having a string, I do option of type string. Or I guess I'd actually, what I'd really want is I'd really like to do option of type path buff is what I'd really like. Yeah, option. So the question I have about the path buff is I don't know how to turn a path buff into a string. That's the part that I've been stuck on. So I guess we'll do, instead of this, let file path display text equals state dot file path match. And for now, I'm just going to, just so that we can get this to work, I'm just going to pass in an empty string. Can I not match like this? I thought I could match like that. Rust match assignment. I think I flipped them there, didn't I? So you have to say match here. And then we can do fill match arms. And if there's none, then we'll just return an empty string. And if there is some, we will return, however we take a path buff to a let's see, I'm using Rust for the first time. I have a path buff I'm carrying around, but want to display it in the UI as a string. How me do that? Is it really 7 o'clock? Damn it, man. Why can't I just spend all day writing writing the code I want to write and learning the stuff I want to learn? How do we make that happen, chat? I don't want to go to work. The best option for UI is two-string lossy. For a user interface, you usually want the application to keep running even if file name has weird encoding. If your UI specifically requires an owned string struct, the strict option. If your application relies on the path being valid text, for example, if you are parsing the file name, use toStr. This returns option. The formatting. If you are just printing to the console or formatting a string using the format macro, you can use the display adapter. This is similar to the string lossy, but meant specifically for formatting context. So we want two-string lossy. So state path. This should be path dot two-string lossy. There we go. So what is it telling me here? Cannot move out of state.file path as enum variable sum, which is behind a shared reference. Consider borrowing here. Use variable. Consider borrowing here. Okay, so I'm getting borrow checked. Black Dot, I want to know how you can access numbers fast in touch typing. I just directly moved from FJ to numbers. LL, it's kind of messy. Yeah, I don't know either. Going from like if you want to jump 10 lines down, it's not really ergonomic to type 10 and then J or 10 and then K. I don't really have a good advice there. is this where I need to do this? No. See, Uncle Pee-wee. Bye, man. I can't stay too much longer either. I would like to stay. Unfortunately, I have to make money so my family can have groceries and I can have internet and electricity to stream. Ah, fuck, dude. I don't know what's okay. Cannot. What does this mean? Shrink the shirk those responsibilities. Yo, what this mean? I rewrote my keyboard's firmware to support a shift up hold key, and then yes, including spacebar, R, and number pad. Wow, interesting. Also, I love the fact that you just casually dropped that you rewrote your keyboard's firmware. Just that would be a project. That would be like a month-long project for me. That's crazy. I can't figure out how to do something in Rust, and you guys are over here just like slamming down custom firmware. What? What? Sorry, hold on. Don't do that. Stop. What does that mean? Gemini's thinking very hard. I mean, I don't understand really what's happening here because all I want to do is I just want to check to see what. Oh, that fixed it, huh? So basically, when I did a call to match and I passed this in, we are essentially saying we're at this point we're basically getting a copied value of file path of this buff, and that's what's causing the borrow checker to complain. But if I don't take, or so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking ownership. When I do this, I'm taking ownership, or I'm trying to take ownership, and it's saying you can't do that. So if I do a ref and I don't take ownership because all I want to do is read it, then it's happy, is what I'm getting. Right? Is that a correct understanding? Damn, I can't do that on my company laptop. Check out quick firmware. It's actually super easy to change your mapping. You can write custom functions with C. I don't know C, but if I need custom firmware, I'm just going to ask you to do it. AZ anything. Hey, Steven, do you really think that you might... Hold on. One sec. I'm going to switch over to chatting because we're pretty much done coding for the day. Let's see. Do you really think that you might move on to other work if development just becomes prompting? The industry would be poorer for the loss. We need senior devs to handle the vibe code wave. Yeah, I probably would. I mean, at this point, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy spending my days talking to LLMs. I'm even at the point where I am considering canceling my Copilot subscription because I feel I'm very concerned that LLMs are masking my abilities, or that they might be reducing my opportunities to grow my abilities. But yeah, I don't have a dream of spending my days talking to LLMs. I want to use LLMs when I want to use them, right? When I want to do a task quick and dirty, when I don't care so much about something, I want to be able to use those tools, but I do not want it thrust upon me. I just use Claude now. I found it too annoying. Yeah, I just think I might extract any type of code completion or code generation LLM from my workflow, because I'm just concerned that it's going to make me a worse programmer. Is it going to make me it's going to make me not as productive as people who use them? But at this point, I don't really care so much about being the most productive engineer. I care about being a good engineer, right? Not necessarily. I'm probably never going to be the best, but I want to be good. I want to be competent. I want to be really, really knowledgeable. And I'm afraid that even though I'm trying to make a concerted effort to not rely on LLMs, they just make it so damn easy. And human beings, it's very hard for us not to lean into the path of least convenience. I use Claude Code as well, and I'm getting to the point where the complexity of my projects, it can't really help me architect new features or solutions. It circles and makes overly complicated code. Yeah, that's fair. I haven't used Claude Code extensively enough to know, but I definitely think there are limitations on the capabilities. Are you still going to use AI for coding? I'm too cool to do that. I still think I'll use LLM, like how I've been using Copilot. Like, I like this. Like, this feels right to me. Like, using Copilot, like, as a personalized version of Googling or tutorials or educate, like, the ability to, like, ask it questions and interrogate your lack of understanding and your knowledge. It's the over-reliance on using the LLM to actually come up with the solution and implement the solution, right? That's the part that I worry about it basically reducing my ability or limiting my growth. And so I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, maybe I should just get rid of this. Maybe it's not. It's doing more harm than good in the long run. Yeah. I mean, I learned to code without AI. I mean, when I learned to code, LLMs weren't a thing. I didn't get Copilot, I think, until 2023, maybe the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. But I don't know. I just feel uneasy about it. I know a lot of developers are saying like you have to lean into it and you have to use it. Yeah. So what Bob said, yeah, getting an immediate answer to because there is this fundamental thing where it's like if you don't know something, you don't know something. No amount of like thinking really hard about it is gonna solve the fact that you just don't know, right? Like it's that. So that's why LLMs are a time saver from like a search perspective. But I'm kind of concerned that, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I'm experimenting. So AZ, anything going back to your original question? At this point, yeah. At this point, I think if professional development means that I have to do all the things that Web Dev Cody's talking about, where I have to be able to have 3 or 4 different instances of Claude code going on and working across 4 or 5 different tickets and managing all these, if that's what it is now, I will just build my own software and find work get paid to do other things, go back to being a scientist, go back to, I don't know, or go work in finance or accounting or something. I'm super interested in economics and finance, so maybe can figure a way to get into that world. I personally don't think that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing, is like where I work, software engineering still looks the way it has looked for the last 20 years. Like this whole like crazy agentic coding, use Claude code or like I don't even think most of our engineers use Copilot. Like it's just like, so I can't really speak to like what everyone's experiencing who works for like these big tech companies or the tech companies that are sort of on the like leading edge of using all this AI tooling. But I think if I started to see that come into where I work, I would start to think, okay, maybe I need to start developing some skills into some other industries. Like I said, I'm okay with knowing how to use LLMs. I think I'm pretty good at using LLMs. It's more of a question of want, right? Like, is that the work you want to do? And that's where I'm at in my professional career life. I'm 32. And so I probably have about 20 more years of work. And so I'm thinking very deeply and hard about what I want to spend the next 20 years doing. Max Dev Mastery. Hey, how are you? Happy to see you on Twitch. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. I came over to Twitch at the beginning of 2020. Well, I was here at the end of 2024. I left for all of 2025, and then we started multi-streaming over there at the beginning of this year. I think there is a big market going to open up with smaller to medium companies in the IT departments because business leaders trying to MVP a solution with AI and then realizing it's hard. I think that's fair. I'd be totally fine with working for a smaller to medium. I mean, I work for a smaller company now, anyways. To me, it's just describing what I would do manually and testing that it did it right. I don't really see the code itself, but I'm writing every line, if that makes sense. No, yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. It's not fun. I, it's like like some people like to play Call of Duty, and some people much prefer to play Power World. Both activities are wonderful, but there's just a personal preference, right? Even though fundamentally what you're doing is kind of the same thing, you're fundamentally just playing video games, right? It's just the activity itself is like, I don't know. I don't feel like much of an active participant when I do prompt engineering and prompt driven development. I feel like I'm constantly trying to coax it to do what I already know I want to do. And then I get bored, and then I want to move on, and then I don't care. And then I don't want to program or code. I just want to go lift weights. But I am rooting for AZ anything. I'm rooting for you, for Web Dev Cody, for all the people who are just killing it with the agentic development and are loving the new tooling and the new approaches. Like, I am rooting for you guys. I want y'all to succeed and have fun and be epic develop. Have the most epic careers. I just might not. I'll be rooting for you from another perch. I'll still probably be coding and developing here on YouTube and on my own personal software. I just may not be working in the field. Max Dev, I saw your YouTube streams, just not used to YouTube when it comes to streaming. Yeah, I get it. Twitch kind of owns that gaming programming thing. What I hate is revisiting code written in AI when a problem happens. It almost gives me anxiety as I read 50 lines of code that could have been one library import in a single 10-line function. Yeah, I mean, I think code that AI generates is decent most of the time. It seems like it's halfway decent, at least according to my standards. I might change some styling and some personal preference things. But the thing that I hate the most is like kind of what you described, where if the AI has implemented like 3 or 4 files worth of code, now it's like I pulled down someone else's PR and I'm trying to figure out what the hell they were trying to accomplish.